If you successfully boosted your immune system, you wouldn't feel invincible. You would die of an autoimmune cytokine storm within hours. Every winter, US consumers spend over $2.1 billion on supplements designed to ramp up their white blood cell activity. But the biological reality is that a hyperactive immune system is a destructive force, not a protective shield. In the next 10 minutes, we will look at the exact cellular mechanism that reveals why boosting is a dangerous marketing myth, and the 3 daily habits that actually program your body's defense. If you want the real science behind longevity and metabolism without the corporate fluff, hit subscribe. Let's get into it. Meet Bob, a 42-year-old who takes 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C every time he feels a tickle in his throat. Bob believes those effervescent tablets are building a physical wall against viruses, but his kidneys are actually just working overtime to filter out the excess. To understand why, we have to look at the bone marrow, where your immune cells are born. These cells, like neutrophils and macrophages, act as highly trained security guards, not mindless soldiers. If you double the number of security guards in a lobby without giving them clear instructions, they start attacking the guests. This chaos is what we call chronic inflammation, and it is the root cause of 60% of all deaths worldwide. Your immune system doesn't need to be stronger, it needs to be more precise. This precision is dictated by a group of specialized cells called regulatory T cells, or Tregs. Think of Tregs as the diplomatic core of your bloodstream, constantly telling the aggressive killer cells when to stand down. Without enough Tregs, your body begins to attack its own healthy tissues, leading to joint pain, brain fog, and insulin resistance. So how does the body train these crucial diplomatic cells? The answer isn't in a bottle of elderberry syrup. It is located in the dark, acidic environment of your large intestine. Roughly 70% of your entire immune system lives in the mucosal lining of your gut, directly interacting with your microbiome. This barrier is only one cell layer thick, separating 100 trillion bacteria from your bloodstream. When your gut microbes ferment dietary fiber, they produce short-chain fatty acids, specifically butyrate. Butyrate acts as a molecular key, binding to receptors on naive T cells and converting them into those protective Tregs. If you feed your gut nothing but processed sugar, butyrate production drops by up to 80% within 3 days. This drop leaves your gut barrier leaking, allowing bacterial toxins called lipopolysaccharides to enter your blood. These toxins trigger a low-grade systemic alarm, keeping your immune system permanently on edge. Now, your immune cells are too distracted fighting internal leaks to defend you against an actual rhinovirus. This is why the person drinking green juices but eating processed meals still catches every cold that goes around. But gut health is only half of the equation. Your metabolic health controls the actual fuel supply for these cells. When your blood sugar spikes, it floods your immune cells with glucose, forcing them into a state of hyperglycolysis. This metabolic shift makes the cells highly aggressive, but also short-lived and prone to making errors. To understand how to support your defenses, we have to look at the primary training ground, your gut. Roughly 70% of your active immune cells live along the lining of your digestive tract. This isn't a passive wall, it's a highly active border control system managed by trillions of microbes. Your gut bacteria constantly communicate with immune cells, teaching them what to tolerate and what to fight. Throwing random immune-boosting supplements at this system is like yelling at a highly coordinated defense force. It does not make them work better, and it often creates unnecessary noise. Take mega doses of vitamin C, for instance. Your kidneys filter out anything beyond your daily requirement, meaning those expensive packets mostly result in pricey urine. Instead of stimulation, your immune cells require raw materials and precise chemical signals to function. That is where vitamin D3 comes in, acting more like a hormone that regulates immune response. Without adequate vitamin D, your T cells remain dormant, unable to respond to pathogens. They are essentially soldiers sleeping through an alarm because the signal never reached them. But activation is only half the battle. An effective immune response must know exactly when to shut down to prevent self-inflicted damage. This delicate off switch is controlled by regulatory T cells, also known as Tregs. Tregs act as the peacekeepers, preventing your immune system from attacking your own healthy tissues. If these peacekeepers fail, the result is chronic inflammation or autoimmune disease. This is why aiming for a boosted immune system is a fundamental misunderstanding of human biology. We do not want a hyperactive defense. We want a balanced, resilient system. One of the most powerful ways to maintain this balance is completely free, high-quality sleep. During deep sleep, your body releases cytokines, which are signaling proteins essential for targeting infections. A lack of sleep directly halts the production of these critical messengers. In fact, restricting sleep to just 4 hours for a single night reduces natural killer cell activity by 70%. These cells are your first line of defense against viral threats. Think of natural killer cells as security guards patrolling your bloodstream. When sleep deprived, the majority of these guards simply fall asleep on the job. Another silent disruptor of this delicate balance is chronic psychological stress. When you are constantly stressed, your adrenal glands flood your bloodstream with cortisol. In short bursts, cortisol is actually anti-inflammatory and helpful, but chronic exposure makes your immune cells resistant to its calming signals. This resistance allows systemic inflammation to run wild, slowly damaging your blood vessels and tissues. It is a slow leak in your body's primary defense infrastructure. Physical activity can help reverse this, but only if done correctly. Moderate exercise acts like a fire drill, temporarily pushing immune cells out of tissues and into circulation. However, extreme overtraining without adequate recovery does the exact opposite. It creates an open window of vulnerability where pathogen defense is severely compromised. This brings us back to the gut, where we can actively influence the system through nutrition. The gut lining is a single layer of cells separating your internal organs from the outside world. To keep this barrier strong, your gut microbes need specific fuel. They do not feed on wellness shots or green powders. They feed on complex dietary fiber. When your microbes ferment these fibers, they produce short-chain fatty acids, specifically butyrate. Butyrate serves as the primary energy source for your gut lining cells, but butyrate also directly signals the bone marrow to produce more regulatory T cells. This is the direct biochemical link between what you eat and how your immune system behaves. Skip the $50 supplement bottles that promise miracles. Focus instead on eating a wide variety of plants to feed the microbes already inside you. But what about when you actually get sick? That is when trace minerals like zinc become crucial, though most people take them completely wrong. Zinc is highly effective at stopping viral replication, but it faces a major transport problem. The mineral cannot easily cross the fatty outer membrane of your cells on its own. To enter the cell where the virus resides, zinc needs a helper molecule called an ionophore. Without this helper, the zinc remains locked outside, unable to do its job. Natural compounds like quercetin, found in apples and onions, act as these cellular keys. Pairing zinc with a natural ionophore is the real secret to cellular defense. This biochemical synergy is how the body naturally heals. Understanding these mechanisms allows us to move away from marketing myths and toward real biological support. By focusing on sleep, stress management, and microbial health, you build a resilient, adaptive shield. It is about biological harmony, not artificial boosting. Next, we will break down the exact molecular mechanism of how garlic compounds interact with immune cells and the crucial prep step most home cooks skip. To understand where immunity is actually built, we have to look past the throat and descend into the gut. Over 70% of your entire immune system lives in the lining of your intestines. Indeed, this intestinal barrier serves as the primary border wall where your body distinguishes self from foreign invaders. Specialized cells called dendritic cells act like border guards, constantly reaching through the gut wall to sample passing proteins. These guards require constant instruction, which is provided by the trillions of bacteria residing in your microbiome. Think of this bacterial community as a flight simulator, training immune cells on targets without triggering a real-world crash. When this microbial education is compromised, the immune system becomes hyperreactive, mistakenly attacking harmless substances like pollen or gluten. As beneficial microbes digest dietary fiber, they produce signaling compounds called short-chain fatty acids, but Butyrate and other short-chain fatty acids travel directly to the bone marrow to promote the development of regulatory T cells. Regulatory T cells function as the peacekeepers, preventing the immune army from launching friendly fire against your own tissues. Knowing this, spending $80 on synthetic vitamin shots at a juice bar reveals a fundamental misunderstanding of immune biology. Consider vitamin C. The human body can only absorb about 200 milligrams at a time before intestinal absorption pathways saturate. Any amount beyond this threshold is rapidly filtered by the kidneys, meaning high-dose supplements mostly produce expensive urine. Furthermore, consuming megadoses exceeding 2,000 milligrams daily can double your statistical risk of developing kidney stones. Zinc is another widely marketed remedy, prized for its ability to shorten the duration of common colds. Once inside a cell, zinc ions bind to viral enzymes, halting the machinery the virus uses to duplicate itself. The challenge is that zinc carries an electrical charge, preventing it from easily crossing the cell's oily membrane. To enter, zinc requires a transport channel opened by ionophores, natural compounds found in foods like apples and onions. Even the most precise nutrient protocol fails if you neglect the free nightly system reset, deep sleep. During slow-wave sleep, stress hormone levels drop, allowing T cells to successfully attach to and destroy infected cells. Sleep is also when the brain and immune system coordinate to convert temporary defense protocols into long-term antibody memory. Restricting sleep to just 4 hours for a single night slashes natural killer cell activity by up to 70%. Another silent disruptor of this defense system is chronically elevated blood glucose. High sugar levels impair chemotaxis, the biological GPS that white blood cells use to navigate toward infections. Excessive glucose also causes glycation, chemically coating immune proteins in sugar and making them too sluggish to respond. Consequently, individuals with uncontrolled insulin resistance are statistically more prone to severe respiratory complications. Over years, this metabolic stress accelerates immunosenescence, which is the premature aging and exhaustion of your immune cells. Fortunately, physical activity provides an immediate countersignal through the action of contracting muscles. During exercise, muscles secrete signaling proteins called myokines that trigger the clearance of damaged immune cells, known as mitophagy. This process of cellular self-cleaning ensures your immune army remains populated by young, functional cells. However, maintaining cellular youth is only half the equation. We must also examine how chronic low-grade inflammation drains their energy reserves daily. When you flood your body with unnecessary immune stimulants, you aren't building a shield. You are triggering a constant, exhausting false alarm. This alarm forces your macrophages to release a flood of inflammatory proteins called cytokines. Think of cytokines as cellular sirens screaming when there is no actual threat. Over time, this chronic siren song damages the delicate endothelial lining of your blood vessels. This silent wear and tear is a major driver of early-stage cardiovascular disease. In the US, managing these chronic inflammatory conditions costs patients over $12 billion annually. Yet, we keep buying the very supplements that fuel the fire. To stop this cycle, we must look at the physical boundary where 70% of your immune cells live. This is the gut-associated lymphoid tissue, or GELT. These cells aren't asking for a boost. They require precise chemical signals to stay calibrated. The primary source of these signals is the food you consume daily. When you digest prebiotic fiber, your gut bacteria ferment it into short-chain fatty acids like butyrate. Butyrate acts as a molecular diplomat, instructing your immune cells to remain calm. Without enough butyrate, regulatory T cells weaken and fail to distinguish self from non-self. This breakdown in communication is the root cause of autoimmune flare-ups. Instead of overstimulating the system, we need to train it using basic biological levers. The first and most powerful lever is slow-wave sleep. During deep sleep, your body consolidates immunological memory and cleanses cellular debris. Cutting your sleep to 5 hours drops natural killer cell activity by 70% the next day. Another critical regulator is vitamin D3, which actually functions as a corticosteroid hormone. It binds to receptors on immune cells, directly silencing genes that trigger inflammatory storms. Despite this, roughly 40% of US adults are clinically deficient in vitamin D. They are essentially driving their immune system without a brake pedal. We also need to discuss how transient, controlled stress strengthens our cellular defenses. Short bouts of exercise or cold exposure cause a temporary spike in cortisol. This brief spike acts as a system reset, clearing out old dysfunctional white blood cells. Once the stressor ends, the body rebuilds fresher, more resilient defense cells. Conversely, chronic glucose spikes from processed foods paralyze these same defense cells. High blood sugar causes neutrophils, your first responder cells, to become sluggish. This sluggishness begins within minutes of eating sugar and can paralyze your immune response for up to 5 hours. That fancy immune-boosting fruit juice might actually be doing the exact opposite. Instead of looking for a quick fix in a bottle, we need to focus on microbial diversity. A diverse gut microbiome acts as a shield, preventing pathogens from colonizing your tissues. Aiming for 30 different plant foods per week is the most effective way to nurture this diversity. Each plant species feeds a different strain of beneficial bacteria. This diversity directly supports the integrity of your gut barrier, keeping toxins out of your bloodstream. When this barrier leaks, the immune system goes into a perpetual state of red alert. This chronic red alert state is what doctors call systemic endotoxemia, a condition linked to insulin resistance. By fixing the barrier, we address the root cause of metabolic dysfunction. Let's look at zinc, another mineral often marketed as an immune-boosting cure-all. While zinc is essential for T-cell development, excess amounts actually suppress immune function. Consuming more than 40 milligrams of zinc daily can interfere with copper absorption, leading to anemia. Balance, not abundance, is the rule the body respects. The same logic applies to high-dose vitamin C supplements. Your kidneys rapidly excrete anything over 200 milligrams, leaving you with nothing but expensive urine. Meanwhile, excess vitamin C can oxidize in the gut, causing digestive distress and kidney stones. The body is designed to absorb vitamins slowly through whole foods, not megadoses. We also have to consider the role of lymphatic circulation in immune surveillance. Unlike your cardiovascular system, the lymphatic system has no central pump. It relies entirely on manual muscle contraction to move immune cells through your lymph nodes. This is why sitting all day at a desk physically stalls your immune response. Just a 10-minute walk every 2 hours acts as a mechanical pump for your lymphatic fluid. It is a zero-cost way to keep your defense cells circulating. Now let's address the relationship between your thyroid hormones and metabolic rate. A sluggish metabolism slows down the production of all immune proteins, including antibodies. To support your thyroid, focus on obtaining adequate selenium and iodine from whole food sources like Brazil nuts and seaweed. These trace minerals are the raw building blocks of metabolic health. By stabilizing your metabolism, you provide the steady energy supply your immune system needs to function without panicking. This shift from stimulation to stabilization changes everything. So if boosting your immune system is a dangerous marketing myth, what is the actual path to resilience? It starts by shifting our focus from stimulation to precise regulation. The true headquarters of your immune defense is not in your throat or your sinuses. It lives deep inside your digestive tract. Approximately 70% of your body's immune cells reside directly within your gut lining. They form a specialized lymphoid tissue that constantly scans everything you swallow. A single layer of epithelial cells is all that separates your bloodstream from trillions of foreign microbes. This delicate boundary must remain strong to prevent unwanted molecules from crossing over. Your gut cells secrete a specialized antibody called secretory IgA, which acts like biological flypaper to trap viruses. Without enough of it, pathogens slip right through your first line of defense. When this barrier becomes compromised, a condition often called leaky gut, toxins spill directly into your circulation. This forces your immune system into a state of constant, exhausting high alert. Specifically, bacterial cell wall fragments known as lipopolysaccharides, or LPS, enter the bloodstream. LPS acts like a systemic alarm bell, triggering chronic low-grade inflammation throughout the body. To rebuild this barrier, we must nourish the beneficial bacteria that maintain it. That means moving away from sterile processed foods and embracing diverse prebiotic fibers. When your microbiome ferments these fibers, it produces crucial molecules called short-chain fatty acids. The most important of these is a compound called butyrate. Butyrate acts as the primary fuel source for your gut lining, sealing the junctions between cells. It also signals regulatory T cells to keep your immune response balanced and prevent autoimmunity. Beyond the gut, your immune system requires a nightly maintenance cycle to stay sharp. This is where sleep becomes your most powerful immunological tool. During deep stage 3 sleep, your brain releases growth hormone and protoactin, which support T cell activation. This is when your immune cells form long-term memories of the pathogens they encountered. Restricting your sleep to just 4 hours for a single night slashes your natural killer cell activity by 70%. You are essentially leaving your cellular security guards asleep on the job. Chronic sleep deprivation also keeps your cortisol levels elevated. High cortisol actively suppresses the production of protective cytokines, leaving you highly susceptible to infections. Another massive pillar of immune health is metabolic stability. Your immune cells require a steady, regulated fuel supply to function properly. When you consume excess refined carbohydrates, blood sugar spikes, leading to a process called glycation. This sticky glucose literally coats your immune proteins, rendering them useless. Neutrophils, the first responder white blood cells, become slow and sluggish in a high glucose environment. Their ability to migrate toward and destroy bacteria drops significantly within hours of a sugar spike. To combat this metabolic drag, physical movement is essential. A single session of moderate exercise mobilizes billions of immune cells into circulation. As your muscles contract, they release signaling proteins called myokines. These molecules direct immune cells to patrol tissues for potential threats. Think of exercise as a fire drill for your immune system. It clears out old dysfunctional cells and replaces them with fresh active ones. Now let us address the small handful of supplements that actually have clinical backing when used correctly. The first is vitamin D3. Vitamin D is not just a vitamin, it is a hormone that regulates the expression of hundreds of immune-related genes. It helps your body produce antimicrobial peptides that destroy cell walls of pathogens. Simply taking a random dose is not enough. You must test your levels to target a range of 40 to 60 nanograms per milliliter. Taking it with fat is crucial for proper absorption. Next is zinc, a mineral vital for T lymphocyte development and function. However, megadosing zinc supplements can backfire by depleting copper, which actually weakens immunity. For a safer, more bioavailable approach, focus on whole food sources like wild oysters, pumpkin seeds, and grass-fed beef. These foods provide zinc alongside the copper needed to maintain cellular balance. Then we have vitamin C, which is concentrated inside white blood cells to protect them from oxidative stress. Yet, swallowing a massive 1,000 milligram pill is mostly pointless. Your intestinal transporters saturate around 200 milligrams of vitamin C. Anything beyond that is simply filtered out by your kidneys and flushed away. The real objective is not to create a hyperactive immune system, but an intelligent one. An overactive immune system is just as dangerous as an underactive one. When we try to force our immune response into overdrive, we risk triggering chronic inflammation. This slow-burning fire damages healthy tissues and drains your energy reserves. By focusing on gut integrity, metabolic health, and sleep quality, you build a resilient, balanced defense. This ensures your body is ready to fight when a real threat arrives, rather than wasting energy on false alarms. Rather than trying to force your defense cells into overdrive, we must focus on reinforcing their training ground in the gut lining. This single-cell barrier is where 70% of your immune system resides, learning to distinguish threat from friend. Nourishing this barrier doesn't require expensive green powders, but rather a diverse intake of prebiotic fibers. Your microbes ferment these fibers into short-chain fatty acids, which actively suppress systemic inflammation. Next, prioritize consistent sleep timing to protect the circadian rhythm of your T cells. Quality rest allows these cells to migrate to lymph nodes where they prepare to target actual infections. Conversely, chronic stress floods your body with cortisol, which acts as a physical brake on immune cell proliferation. Reducing this daily friction does far more for your health than any supplement. You should also physically mobilize your defense system through moderate daily movements. A 20-minute walk pumps lymphatic fluid, circulating dormant white blood cells throughout your tissues to scan for pathogens. If you choose to supplement, swap synthetic vitamin C for vitamin D3. This hormone precursor regulates genes that prevent your immune cells from overreacting and attacking your own organs. The $20 billion wellness industry profits by convincing us that health can be bought in a pill. In reality, your kidneys quickly filter out excess synthetic vitamins, flushing those expensive supplements down the drain. A highly active immune system isn't a shield. It is the definition of autoimmune disease. We want a quiet, intelligent defense system, not a constantly aggressive one. By shifting our focus from boosting to supporting, we allow our metabolic and defense pathways to function in harmony. Real immunity is an elegant, self-regulating thermostat that keeps your internal biology stable despite external threats. If you are ready to stop wasting money on marketing hype and start supporting real biological mechanisms, hit that like button, comment below with the most expensive immune booster you have ever purchased, and subscribe so you don't miss our next video exposing the myths of liver detoxes. Keep your science straight, your biology balanced, and I will see you in the next episode.